Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Encounters USA. Now, today we're going to go back to Harstine Island and we are going to look at Bigfoot Reporting Organization Report number 1568. But before we do, I just want to explain to you that we have already done three BFRO reports. We've covered these sightings that happened. There were sightings, vocalizations that happened sometime in the past, and that were also included in my documentary, Missing 911 Olympic National Park Staircase Trail, because I just want people to understand that Bigfoot is a frequenter of the area and could be responsible for some malfeasance every now and then. So in this sighting, we are going to be looking at a homeless person who sees Bigfoot while he's looking for a place to sleep. Now, if you like this kind of content where we're not only interviewing people who have had experiences with Bigfoot and aliens and dogmen, but we're also out in the field, we are documenting and we are using the modernist technology that is available. So if you like watching this kind of stuff, if you like being a participant in it, if you like supporting my channel, then go ahead and hit subscribe and ring that bell. So after this BFRO report, we are going to look at one more report that I included in my last documentary, Missing 911, and that is about these suspicious owls. Because when I was filming my documentary, I also had somewhat the same experience over on Lake Cushman. So, gonna be exciting. Got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and now let's head on over to Harstine Island. All right, so back on Harstine Island for the third of my series of BFRO reports, where I go around and actually check the site of the report and test on its plausibility and give you an opportunity to take a look at the area itself instead of just seeing a couple of words in a paragraph on a website. So this is one of my favorite sightings. It's BFRO Sighting 1568, and this sighting I included in my latest documentary, Missing 911 Olympic National Park Staircase Trail. And the reason I included this and two other sightings from this area is because I want people to understand that Bigfoot is well known to be in these areas, and there are plenty of eyewitness accounts of not only seeing Bigfoot, but also signs of Bigfoot as well as their howls. All right, I don't know if you can hear it, but getting a lot of vocalization right now, and so I'm doing call blasting on my Bigfoot app, but I can't do both at the same time, so I've got to turn this off and I'm trying to communicate with these guys, and I mean I don't know if you can hear that. And let's look at Bigfoot sighting BFRO Report 1568. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have.
At the time of this sighting, I was homeless and living in my station wagon. I always took showers at a campground on Harstine Island. At about 11:30 p.m., I was traveling north on the island and was doing the speed limit and watching out for deer in the road because there are a lot of them on the island. I was coming up to the Grange Hall turn where there is a connecting road that travels south on the eastern side of the island. There is a hill at the point of the intersection, and I slowed down to the recommended speed because there is a hairpin turn just down the other side. As my lights came over the top of the hill, I could see into the large pasture next to the road where it turned left. It was a clear, full night, and the moon was out so I could see very good. I noticed something standing in the field, couldn't remember seeing it before. I thought it was a tree stump at first, but there wasn't one there before. Then I thought about the horses that are usually there in the daytime, but it just wasn't it. I was slowing down to about 10-15 miles an hour, so I could turn left when this thing turned its head and looked straight at me. I remember quickly slowing the car and almost came to a stop. As I rolled through the corner, it turned in the same direction and walked at the same speed I was rolling. It was absolutely huge. It wasn't very far from my car, maybe 40 feet. The field is about 3-4 feet below the road, and this thing towered over me, so I had to look over the top of the steering wheel to see it. I could smell it, and it burned my nose. My windows were up, but the heater was on. It took long strides and was actually moving faster than me, and I stopped the car because I thought it was going to come over the barbed wire fence into the road in front of me. It walked down the fence line, and I followed at a distance, but I could still see it very clearly. At the corner of the fence line, the road turns sharply to the right, and it just stepped over the fence with no trouble at all. I remember feeling scared to death, and the hair on my body was standing up. It crossed the road at the corner and disappeared on the other side in the brush. The turnoff to the park is about a 1/4 mile past that, and to the left. I raced to the campground and took my shower as quickly as I could. I remember almost being in tears when I came out to get back in my car. I was still pretty shook up, and I knew it was not far away from where I was. I usually stayed at the campground on those nights, but not that night. The next day I returned to the area of the sighting, and I didn't see any horses or tree stumps, but I did see where the fence was pushed down. I talked to a friend of mine who lives on the island, and he said there were 3 or 4 of them there. I never came back at night again.
Now right here is the sighting of the 1993 BFRO Report number 1568. What happened was a homeless person was sleeping at Gerald State Park up the road. They came around this corner here, and then they went on this straight stretch here. And as they did, they looked into this field here, and according to the report, they thought there was a huge tree stump here. But as you can see, there is no tree stump. So he was very curious, and then he thought, well, maybe it's horses. But then he realized that's not a horse. And so what was happening is that this creature was paralleling him along the road, along that fence line. So now we're going to go up and see where he crossed the fence. Now, according to BFRO Report 1568, after watching this Bigfoot creature paralleling this fence line right here, a creature that the eyewitness said was absolutely massive. He paralleled this fence line, came to this point, and then he stepped. I say again, he stepped over the fence right here, and he continued along his way. In fact, this guy thought that he was going to actually run into him, so he slowed down and let this Bigfoot cross the road up here. So if you see here, now you have these really high strings. I'm not going to touch it to see if it's electric or not, but you have these really high strings here or wires, and it would not be possible for this same creature, I assume, it's not that big, but it would not be possible for them to cross this fence line now. So did they put these wires here to keep Bigfoot out of this field? Who knows? But that's BFRO sighting 1568 from 1993, a homeless guy heading for Gerald State Park. All right, everybody, what did you think of that? A pretty exciting encounter, isn't it? Can you imagine seeing Bigfoot as you're going around a corner trying to just take a shower and Find a place to sleep where nobody will bother you? Can you imagine thinking all night, is Bigfoot out there somewhere waiting to come in and hopefully not share my accommodations with me? Yeah, I'd be pretty rattled if I was that guy too. So, if you're rattled, or if you're not, or if you're ever out on Harstine Island, just remember what we always say at Encounters USA. Always watch your back.